Hello and welcome back to my channel, Soul Signal. My name is Regina Lawless. For those of you joining for the first time, I am a former corporate executive turned author and now spiritual messenger. So over the last few years, I've gone through a series of spiritual awakenings and now have discovered my spiritual gifts, which is receiving beautiful messages from the angelic realm. And I share those messages with all of you on a blog through Medium called The Heart Transmissions. And recently starting to add these videos to my channel to help explain or recap the messages and add a little bit more context to them. So today's video is recapping the transmission titled Earth's Ascension. And so I will link that blog article in this video. So if you want to hop over to Medium and take a look at it or save it, have it in your collection or share it. Because I think this one is a really important level setting of what's going on. And I don't mean like what's going on day to day, because there's a lot of craziness going on day to day. I mean what's going on in the grander scheme of our evolution as a species. So that kind of like what's really going on. So this message about Earth's Ascension, if you are new to spirituality, new to my channel, new to me, new to any of this type of talk around Earth's Ascension or 5D, or I want to take a moment just to give you some context, because this video may have come up in your feed, which I believe if it did, it's meant for you. But you may be coming to this new. You may just be starting to awaken to there's something outside of your daily life. So let me give a little context on what I even mean when I say Earth's Ascension, and then I'll go into the transmission. And if you know me, you know I'm going to add some color along the way. So Earth's Ascension. So Earth as a planet is a 3D planet. It is a physical material realm, right? Like there's things around us we can see and touch, like everything is a physical environment, a third density environment. And really what we mean, or what I guess a way to think about the dimensions is the level of consciousness. So at the 3D dimension, third dimension, the general consciousness or mass consciousness right now is one of separation. That is the frequency of this dimension. That's the frequency or level of consciousness of our planet. And so what do I mean by consciousness? You can think of it as awareness. It's the ever-present, in Buddhist or other Eastern traditions, they call it the observer. It is that essence, that spiritual core of who we really are, beyond these bodies that we inhabit. But consciousness can also be thought of as how we make sense of things, how we view things. And so in a three-dimensional reality, we believe as humanity that we are separate. We are in a state of consciousness of individuation, right? So each of us has our own unique identity. We have our name, our gender, race, ethnicity, what religion you are or not, or all of these things make up our individual identity. And we think, for the most part, most people are living in a state of consciousness that you and I are separate from one another. And we see that playing out real time every single day. Because if you believe that you are separate, or that person over there is separate, not of you, then you can do all kinds of atrocities. You can do all kinds of things to people who are other than who are different than, who you may even think are less than you. So that is the consciousness that we've been dealing with on this planet for millennia, that we are in survival, every man, woman, and child for themselves. I got to get mine before you do, or I've got mine, you better get yours. Every person for themselves. So again, separation. Now, that is a lower level of consciousness, because in the spirit realms, in the angelic realms, in the heavens, it's oneness. There is no sense of separation. There is an understanding that we are all united in spirit. That is known. But when we drop down into this earthly plane, that's part of the construct. That's part of, let's call it, the rules of the game. We agree to come into these earthly lifetimes, and part of that is going through the veil of forgetting, they call it. That means that we forget that we are truly spirit. We think we are human beings living this very tiny, separate individual life here on earth, when really we are these all powerful sparks of divine consciousness that are eternal. And we choose to come down to earth to have an experience that evolves our soul. And so, as the consciousness of earth, because earth has consciousness as well, earth is a living being. She, Mother Gaia, is her own spirit. You'll hear this in this transmission, she has decided that she no longer wants to be at the 3D frequency, that it is time for her to evolve. And as her consciousness rises, so must ours. So that's a little precursor. I won't go into too much more detail until we go into the message. But that's essentially, when we say Earth's ascension, it is Earth rising from a 3D frequency or level of consciousness, of separation consciousness, to 5D, or what the spirit, or what my spirit guides call unity consciousness. Okay, so let's get into the transmission. And this particular transmission came from, they refer to themselves as the Galactic Federation of Light. There are a lot of beings outside of our earthly plane. There's a lot of different light beings that are helping to support Earth. And there are different councils. If you listen to other spiritual teachers or channels, or you'll sometimes hear them bring up these different councils. So that's the beautiful thing. As Earth ascends, Earth has so much help from inside this dimension and outside. So the message begins as such. And I'm going to read verbatim and then add some pieces along the way. So, greetings. We are here, dear one, the Galactic Federation of Light. Earth is indeed ascending. There is no turning back now, for this is the preordained path that Earth herself and Source Intelligence has agreed upon. No more will Earth suffer or allow suffering to pervade her lands. So I thought this was so fascinating. I transcribe these messages as I hear them, and then I go back and read them and type them up to share. And so I'm always just in awe when I read it back, because it's, as I'm channeling it or as it's downloading, I'm not fully conscious of what is being said. So I have to go back and really review what comes through. And I thought this was really interesting to hear that both Earth herself as a being and Source Intelligence, which is the creator of all that is all that is, the creator, the source, have agreed upon that this has been preordained for eons. And if you kind of listen to other or study other philosophies, there's this philosophy um, about the cycles that Earth goes through. I know in some of the Vedic philosophy, there's this concept of the Yuga cycles, and that Earth or humanity is essentially on this kind of a wheel of evolution where we're moving through this perpetual cycle of kind of dark times or dark ages, which we're coming out of into like the golden age, back where we have heightened consciousness, heightened awareness of our spiritual nature. And so that made sense to me when I read this part of the message that, oh, this is part of a cycle, that we are rising in consciousness, and Earth and Source Intelligence have preordained that we've done that. We've gone through the cycles of darkness and separation. We know where that leads, and no more is that level of consciousness going to be allowed to be the dominant frequency here on Earth. We've done it enough. We know the pain and suffering that that has caused for generations upon generations on this planet, and no more. Um, Getting back to the transmission, we are at a pivotal time in Earth's memory. Never before have we witnessed a shift in consciousness like this, where Earth dwellers must conform to her rising frequency because she can no longer sustain the frequency of fear and division in mass consciousness. This is a glorious time to be alive, beloveds, for you will finally experience heaven on earth as it was intended. So, what my guides or what the Galactic Federation is saying here is that though Earth has gone through many, many cycles for her existence, this cycle is different because instead of going through these cycles and continuing to stay at a 3D level of consciousness, Earth is now going to be rising to that 5D. So going from what they say here, a frequency of fear and division in mass consciousness, like that, pretty much since Earth began, since humanity, let's say, inhabited Earth, we don't even know a time where we haven't been at war with one another or in fear of or separating, categorizing each other, segregating people, dominating, oppression, just you name it. All of that comes from this frequency of fear and division. And now, as Earth rises to this frequency of oneness, that's when we'll experience heaven on earth. Heaven on earth as it was intended. So the message continues, our frequency was manipulated. The frequency on Earth was hijacked, manipulated so long ago by beings who wished to extract the energy of ignorance and fear from the collective consciousness to keep you all operating in low and distorted frequencies through misguiding you, manipulating your beliefs, stoking fears, sowing division, and manufacturing strife. This control has been happening for eons on this planet, but will be no more. So I think we can all see that there are powers that be. There are, let's call them dark forces. There are people that are absolutely intentionally pulling the strings to keep us divided. And I say that not to stoke fear or even to blame those people, because it's all part of this cosmic orchestration. There are people that, as part of their soul plan, they have come to play, let's call it the villain, right? Like there are people that they are here to anchor the darkness, because in doing that, they help others see the light. They help others to know and grow from that pain and division. Think about when something tragic has happened to you. As painful as that thing may be, I'm guessing that you learned some lessons from it. Even if the lesson you learned is, I don't want to be like that person. I don't want to treat people that way. I don't want other people to suffer like I did. So that's what, when people are in these negatively polarized states of consciousness, sometimes it's truly because they are still asleep to their nature. They are still in the dream. They haven't awakened to their spiritual self, because if you are awakened, you then come into that consciousness of oneness. You realize your divinity, and therefore you see the divinity in everyone else. So sometimes it's that, but other times it's divine orchestration. That is the role they came to play, to be a catalyst for others. So there are absolutely, and then you layer on top of that, besides the individual people playing their parts, there are, of course, dark forces who have manipulated the energy on this planet. Energy is alive, energy is power. Think about where you put your focus, where you put your attention, you create more of that. You manifest more of that. So our feelings give off a charge. So feelings of anger, feelings of fear, that is very powerful energy. Think about politics, think about anything. People will go to war because they are scared of that other group, or scared of being invaded, or people do all manner of things in the name of fear. That is how powerful of a catalyzing force fear is. Now, fear, of course, cannot beat the power of love, and that's the frequency we're rising to. But so far on this planet, those people who seek to harness energy in the negative, they know that there's no better way to motivate people, especially in a subconscious way, is through their fears, through pitting people against each other, manipulating people's beliefs, making people feel less than, making people feel stuck, disconnecting people from their spirit by keeping them so distracted, scrolling, so distracted, working 2, 3 jobs, so distracted in, you name it, daily lives that are so draining, that literally your life force energy is draining out of you. But what energy that's left, um, if they can manipulate whatever energy you have left to keep you in a state of fear, or keep you in a state of separation or ignorance, that energy is harnessed to fuel whatever agenda that person or that group or those entities have. So there has been this control over the planet. Although we have free will, we always have had, we always will, a lot of that freedom has been null and void because there's been so much control and programming and manipulation, as the Galactic Federation says, for eons on this planet. But that will be no more. So the great shift. The reality is changing before your eyes. You have all agreed to be part of the great shift, but few remember. Yet the time has come for you all to awaken and seize your gifts and step back into your spiritual body, your light body that is eternal and lasts beyond earth. This is the truth of your nature, that you are all eternal, ever powerful beings of light who have come to earth on a mission to evolve your soul. So I want to read that again, because if you take nothing else from this video, this is it. This is the truth of your nature, of all of our nature. We are all eternal, ever powerful beings of light who have come here to earth on a mission to evolve our souls. That's it. That's it. Everything in this life is about evolution. Every choice, everything that happens to us, um, nothing is by happenstance. It's all in an effort to help you evolve your soul through these varying experiences. So, as Spirit says here, this mission is sacred because evolution is sacred. It is the cosmic point of it all. And I think that's so beautiful because I know if you're going through a difficult time in life, it may seem like, what am I even doing here? Like, why am I suffering like this? Why am I going through all of this pain? And it seems like it's pointless to be here, or you may feel all alone. But your soul, as Spirit says in this message, your soul has chose to be here at this time. It is no accident that you are here alive on earth at this time. You came here with gifts for the collective. You came here, like, this is the big show. If you're a sports fan, this is the Super Bowl, right? This is Earth's Super Bowl. This is the time of ascension. And I personally think it's one of the most exciting times to be alive. Now, that doesn't mean it's not crazy and chaotic and all the things, but if you're here, if your soul is here, you're built for this. You're made for this. And your job in this lifetime is, as you evolve your soul, it's also to remember the magnificence, the power of who you really are. That's what you came down here to be. You came down here to bring the power of your soul into this earthly experience because you have gifts or wisdom from another life that will help serve us in this time right now. It is, thinking about myself, it is no accident that my husband died in 2021, and that sent me on a journey to rediscover who I was. And in that journey, it started to unlock all of these spiritual gifts that I had no idea were there. When I tell you I was an HR lady, okay, that was my job. I did HR for almost 20 years. And I was a corporate drone, just going to work, commuting 2 hours a day each way before the pandemic. And so I was very much living a regular life in the matrix, like plugged in, stressed out, not really feeling connected to my spirit. I had lost my spark of joy. I was just existing. But I know now that none of that was by accident, that I had to go through all of the pain and ups and downs and even get to the brink of wanting to lose my own life when my husband died. I didn't even want to be here anymore. I was so traumatized and so devastated by that loss. But I had to go through that to be opened up to my true nature. And so I offer that as an example because if you are here in this time, you are here for a reason. And any and everything that you've gone through and are going through is for a reason. And let this video be a catalyst to start to go inward and think about, what is that gift that I'm meant to give to the world? Because we need it, right? We need it right now. There are so many things that are going wrong in the world right now, and that's only because people are not waking up, turning on their light to say no more. And as Earth continues to ascend, those lights will start going on. Those the light switches will start coming on because the frequency will rise, and so people will start to question. But some of that is going to come from difficult things happening, which we'll talk about in a second here in this message. But I wanted to just dive deeper into the piece around, yes, we're shifting. This is the big show, and you're here for a reason, and you are powerful enough to handle whatever comes your way in this life. And so, speaking of the light switches going on, Some of that is going to come through chaos. And so as my guide stated in this message, a time of chaos is upon us, and we can see that in the world. They say, "Fear not, dear ones. This time may seem very chaotic for some, but it is meant to be so. Walls and foundations must crumble to be rebuilt in the image of spirit, to be rebuilt in the frequency of love, compassion, collective healing, and empowerment. There will be many catastrophes. Some you will choose and manifest out of fear and resistance to what is coming, and some will be orchestrated occurrences as part of the natural shift of things and the timeline that has been set in motion. Many souls will opt out at this time, preferring to leave Earth, and some will take more time to awaken and evolve than others. Those who are entrenched in old beliefs or old patterns of being will struggle the most. But those who can open their hearts to our greater nature of celestial beings, of love incarnate, will have the least tumultuous time in the coming years." And so let me go back because there is a lot there that I want to double click on. So, first of all, it's easy when we see the chaos in the world to get fearful, to contract, right? Because it makes you angry. If you are someone who cares about other people or just doesn't want to see people being taken advantage of or hurt, it makes you angry to see people in positions of power um, harming people through their practices, through their policies. um, it's infuriating. However, what Spirit is saying here is that we can make things worse by adding our fear, which is fuel. Again, all of these emotions are energy. When we add fear, that is emotional fuel, that is energetic fuel to the fire to just manufacture more fear. Fear begets fear. Love begets love, right? So we need to be cautious. And I'm speaking for myself too. I've had to turn away from these salacious um, posts or watching the evening news every night. Um, I find other ways to stay aware of what's going on in the world. I usually read the news when I'm in a active state, if that makes sense. When I am when I'm in a conscious state, that's a better way to say it. I no longer just blindly consume and get sucked into these rabbit holes of um, anger or fear. I'm pretty attuned now to be able to recognize when a headline is clickbait or trying to bait my emotions. Anything that makes you feel just instantly angry or fearful, be mindful of that. Be cautious of that. Try to catch yourself from feeding into that, because the more you give it energy, the more you give it life, the more it multiplies. And so that's what Spirit is saying. For one, our energy and attention is powerful, and to not feed into the fear that is in many ways being manufactured. We talked about that earlier in this message, that we have been being manipulated since the beginning of humankind. So that is still continuing to go on today. Now, of course, with Earth's ascension, that is all going to fall away. But we can either accelerate the ascension by focusing on what we want to see in the world, more love, more unity, or we can, I don't want to say stall things because it has already been put in motion. As we started this message with, Earth and Source Intelligence has already preordained that Earth is ascending. So anyone who remains on Earth is going to have to ascend with her. So there's no stopping the train, but we certainly can get in front of the tracks and get ran over or make it go slower. We could slow down the train. And so the other thing I think that's important about this section of the message is walls and foundations must crumble to be rebuilt in the image of spirit. And you can look at this negatively and positively. The negative way, or the fear-based way to look at this, is, oh my gosh, is the stock market going to crash? Oh my gosh, our jobs going to be taken by AI? Oh my gosh, is this industry going to go out of business? Is that, on and on and on. And the answer is, anything that is built on separation and division must crumble. Anything that is not of love, anything that is not of compassion, of collective healing and empowerment, as Source is saying in this message, has to crumble to be rebuilt in those things. So I personally look at this positively. There are so many industries, or so many companies that are solely built to extract our labor, to divide and conquer us, to keep us distracted, that are not serving any real human good except for to make billions of dollars for the board, or billions of dollars for that particular corporate owner, overlord, whatever you want to how you want to refer to these corporate CEOs. And it's not just corporate, right? It's there are very vested interests in every industry that you can imagine: education, government, religion. Like, there are so many structures in our earthly reality that are built on control and subjugation of the people, and or extraction of every bit of life force energy that we have. So by the time we get to 50 years old, we feel like we're 100 years old, because we've been working every day of our life and giving it all up to somebody else, and we're miserable and we're sick. And so, hallelujah that these structures are crumbling. So I see it as a positive, that I want to live in a world where we are collectively taking care of one another. There is no reason why we have to have so many structures that look to just take from us. That is old consciousness. That is the consciousness of separation. That is the consciousness that says, I don't care about how you and your family are doing, as long as me and my family are okay. We can't continue to do that anymore. We see how that's gotten us. We've seen where that's gotten us and what that has gotten us. It's gotten us a hellscape on earth. We can't continue like this. We can't continue with 1% doing exorbitantly well and the rest of us struggling for crumbs. That's not what spirit has designed for us. We are all abundant, and we should be living in a reality where we each have everything that we need, and we wake up every day and contribute our gifts, and we collectively build together. We are joyful. We are doing what we're meant to do. We can't do that if we are stuck in these patterns of just doing what other people want us to do because it benefits them, if that makes sense. So there will be catastrophes, as Source says in this message. Some of those are natural disasters, let's say, that are part of raising the frequency. Like we talked about a few minutes ago, you sometimes can't awaken or can't see anything else until you face a tragedy. So sadly, as human beings, we often need pain. We often need tragedy to wake us up. So some of that is going to be orchestrated to accelerate the awakening, and Some of it we're going to create ourselves because we're still unaware and we're still buying into and being baited into division and fighting one another. So we need to be conscious of that. So I asked, as part of when I was channeling this message, I asked, what can we all do to prepare or support each other during this time of ascension? And what Spirit said is, there is no there is no preparation needed because there is nothing you can control. You can help one another by being kind and supportive and realizing that each soul is on a unique journey. Each soul must evolve at its own pace, and that is okay. That is loved and accepted throughout the universe. Freedom to evolve at your own pace and in your own way by your own design. Even if that means, kind of going back to an earlier part of the message, even if that means leaving this earthly existence early. Because of this shift that's going on, some souls will elect to leave earlier than planned because either they feel that their mission here is done, or maybe they no longer want to be part of the ascension timeline, or some souls will end up having to go to another 3D existence because they're not ready to step into 5D consciousness just yet. What Spirit has shared with me in other messages is that everyone will eventually rise back into oneness, rise back into source consciousness. However, we all have free will. So some of us at a soul level are not yet ready. We may be a younger soul, and by younger, it's not really age, it's really by experience. So we may be a soul where maybe this is our first lifetime on earth. We need more experience, more lifetimes maybe, before we have gotten to a soul level where we've evolved enough as a soul to come back into our essential spiritual nature. Other souls are ready. Either way, you're here at this time on earth for a reason to evolve or play a part in earth's evolution. And I love this thought that whichever you choose, whichever decision we make as a soul is okay. That's what's so beautiful about source intelligence, the creator. The more I get these messages and the more I get a chance to hear from angels and ascended masters, the common thread through all of it is love. And in pure unconditional love, there is no judgment. Those two cannot coexist. If I love you unconditionally, then whatever choices you make, I am still in love with you. I still have reverence for you. I still respect you. And I know that you are a soul that is on your own journey. And I have enough faith and love for you to know that you will get there. And I have enough faith and love to give you the time and space to do that. And so that's how Creator looks at all of us. There is no judgment if you came in here to be a negative catalyst or a positive catalyst. There is no judgment if it takes you one lifetime or 1,000 lifetimes, because we're all one anyways, and we will all come back to oneness. And so I think if we could apply some of that consciousness now, that only accelerates where we're going. If we can start to give people, first feel the freedom in yourself, give yourself permission to be free and to honor your own choices and desires and your own timing. But then in turn, learn to give that freedom to other people, right? Because everybody's on their own journey. We don't know what someone's soul path is. We have no idea. We have no idea what that person came down here to do or to learn. So to stand in judgment it makes no sense. It makes no sense. We have no idea that what bigger plans are in place. So we have to learn to give them the same grace that hopefully we're able to give ourselves. So the message ends with a reassurance for humanity. Fear not the change. It is taking you all where you need to go to be in alignment with Source. Breathe it in and connect to the essence of life through love, patience, compassion for self and others, service, and solidarity. You are all one. We are all one. That is all for the collective at this time. So that's where I will leave you, that no matter what is going on, no matter what you're seeing in the physical realm, know that in spirit, we are all one. And we are just here for a temporary time, a blip in the cosmic timeline to be here in these earthly bodies. And if we can come back to our oneness, if we can come back to the fullness of who we are as eternal spirit, then we only help to accelerate Earth's ascension and accelerate our own peace and happiness here on Earth. Wishing you so much love and divine joy. If you found this message helpful, if you like this transmission, I would ask you to drop me a comment, like, share with anyone you think it would benefit, and check out the link below to read the transmission on Medium. Take care.